Hello and welcome to Efficient Strategy Gaming. Today I'd like to answer a question that I received on my Discord server. What is the best 40 width tank division? And so I'm not going to dodge the question. I'm going to answer the question as thoroughly as possible, but the answer is it's going to depend on what terrain types you're trying to work with, what you're trying to achieve, what type of divisions you're going up against, what your military production is, and I'm not dodging the question at all. But it's going to be 100% situational. Do you have enough tanks produced to even make a 40 width tank division? Another question or another comment that I received on one of my YouTube videos was I need to get the medium tanks because I want to do Battle of France in 1939 historically, and I want to go up against the French tanks. The answer to that assertion is you don't need to go up against the French tanks. You need to move around the French tank divisions. So, like if you check out any of my Battle of France videos, you'll see that I rarely run into French tank division. And when I do, I take one of my own tank divisions, do a pinning assault, and then move the rest of my light tank divisions around. So it just depends on what strategy you're employing for what phase of the game you're in. But you don't necessarily need a certain type of tank for every situation. I would say you need certain type of tank divisions for the situation that you're trying to deal with. And that's what happened largely in World War II. So you had the German tank division designs, templates. They weren't templates, but the way the Germans set up their tank divisions they were altered throughout World War II based on what they had at hand and what they were trying to do with said division. Are we trying to do a breakthrough? Are we trying to just go around Maginot? What technology do we have? Like by the time the Germans in 1939 were trying to go into Paris, they didn't have as many medium tanks as they thought they would have. So they designed kind of a vanilla uh, division composition where you had mediums uh, and lights intermingled, but the mainstay of the force was going to be lights with basically mediums to either go tank to tank or to siege bunkers. So that's just an example of what happened historically. Hearts of Iron 4 plays out a little differently. So I think that the best 40 width tank division would be to basically make multiple different types of divisions, to make different production lines, one being light tank, one being medium, and one being heavy if you have heavy available to you, because most likely you're going to have different amounts of different types of tanks, and it's all going to change your division speed here. So this is a game that I just started up. What I would suggest doing is if you're going to play like Germany historically, for instance, you start off with these divisions here, and the max speed is 10 because you're using light tank 1s, Panzer 1s, and don't change this at all. Don't alter these divisions right here that you start off with in near Berlin because they have an added bonus. They have experience 25%. Instead, if you're going to make new divisions or alter the template at all, go ahead and hit duplicate down here, and if you want a medium division, what I would suggest is creating a medium division and then change all these regiments into medium tanks, because then all the tanks are going to be the same speed. So the mediums are heavier, they have better piercing and typically have better armor, so you can use them kind of as a breakthrough in a pinning force while you have the light tanks move freely and move around the enemy. And so if you're into 40 width divisions, you're probably looking at, gosh, you're in 43 or 45 or something like that. Infantry has anti-tank capabilities. I would still suggest seeing what you have at hand first off producing as many tanks as you possibly can, but seeing what you have at hand and trying to design divisions based on what you need to do, what you need to accomplish. So say we were over in the middle of Russia where all the terrain is flat. Tanks work great over here. I would probably say that the answer to your question would be I'd want 3 different types of divisions. I'd want, or maybe even 2, a heavy division and a light division. The light division would kind of look like this. It would just incorporate all light tanks. And the heavy division would incorporate medium and heavy tanks. Depending on what I had at hand, what country I'm playing, and how many military factories I had, so how many I could produce, and how many tanks I had in my stockpile. So if I'm going to do a Barbarossa with this template, there's 600 tanks in this light tank division template. It's a lot of tanks. So I'm thinking if I want to fight for a year, I need to replace this template like 3 times over. I'm going to need 2,000 light tanks in my stockpile for every 1 division that I have. And obviously that's not perfect math, but I kind of, as I'm playing the game, guesstimate what I'm going to need in my stockpile and how long it's going to take for me to accomplish an offensive. So this division right here, 40 width, would be a good example of a light division that you'd use. And then depending on if you had a ton of heavies, you probably, lights are easy to build, right? So you might have like, say 3 or 4 of these light 40 width tank divisions. Well, then I'd have like 1 heavy division to make the initial breakthrough. And I'm talking about even in a grand scale such as, say you did Barbarossa in 1945 or something and heavies are everywhere. I really think you only need like 5 to 7 or 8 tank divisions because all you're trying to do is cut a path. You're just trying to blaze a path and encircle. And as long as you do that and you're able to take care of whatever you're running into, whatever's in front of you, you should be fine. You should be able to go to Kiev and then head on down to Odessa here and then make a huge pocket and reduce the pocket and then plan out your next attack. So this is pretty much my philosophy on how to make these divisions. There's no like strict answer. It's just I don't play around a lot with the division templates because if I add like a heavy tank to this light tank division, there's 2 basic downsides. My max speed just went to 5. Number 2, as soon as those heavy tanks come in to the division, I'm going to lose a ton of XP if I'm not producing them from the division trainer. Because they just simply, the troops receive the heavy tanks, need to be retrained, and their XP level goes down, and that affects the overall performance of the division. So you have to be very careful when you want to change these templates. You can't just willy-nilly switch an existing division between a few different types. You have to really think about it. Think about what you have in your stockpile. Think about what you're producing. It's fairly complex. What's your objective? So I hope you enjoyed this little video on how to make tank division templates and what I think the best 40 width tank division is. And I know it's not like a set answer like do this specifically, but in 95% of the cases, unless I'm trying to play just like a really cool HOI4 build where I got all the goodies and I got mechanized and I got heavies and all this other stuff, I typically won't go 40 width, and you can see my videos on that. I typically don't even go 20 width because it's not as realistic, and there's better things that you can do with the divisions. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.